Hey everyone, welcome to the Tears Take. I'm Tierney. I upload weekly reality recaps. So if you love the Real Housewives and all of their crazy antics, this is the channel for you. If you enjoy my content, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Please leave me a comment. I will respond back. And don't forget to subscribe. By doing so, that helps to support the channel and it helps to send my content to other Bravo lovers like yourself. So I have a lot of thoughts about this episode. I think a lot of us do. I'm going to go ahead and recap the Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 16, episode 4. It's called The Vault. And let's just go ahead and get some of my initial takes out of the way. Number one, Brit's a deranged fan and she needs to go. I'm confused why she still has a peach and not Kenya. It's still up in the air of whether or not I will keep watching to find out. But I'm definitely going to watch the next episode. And then after Kenya is erased from the season, we'll see. But we've seen from day one that Brit was looking for a problem. I think she believes that she knows Kenya. I think she has like a parasocial relationship, has been watching Kenya on TV for years. And when she saw her in person and didn't get that warm response right away, I think she felt slighted and her ego was hurt. But it's like, girl, she don't know you. And as shady as Kenya can be, I didn't see her do anything to Brit. I saw her just really cool to her and like really chill. And actually, she tried to diffuse a lot of the situation that we'll talk about later on. So I'm not going to keep going on about that. But that's my number one is like, Brit, no. I don't even want to say you're clicking down. You never clicked for me. I see nothing. I think your voice is annoying us. I think your husband's weird. I think you're really full of yourself and for why I don't know. I think you're obsessed with Kenya and you're a deranged fan. I mean, you own a business, which is commendable, but I don't see, I try to be open-minded. I tried, and this episode was a mess. Okay, sorry. I did not mean to keep going on about her. I told y'all I have thoughts. Okay. I think I'm ready for this season to pick up. Like I said, TBD if I'm going to keep watching it. But, I was giving them a lot of grace because it was a really big cast shakeup. I want to support the franchise as much as I can, but, I was giving them grace. And I think there is a lot to work with. I've said that in my other recaps, but we are now heading into episode 5, like pick it up. And that means you, Porsha, because you're supposed to be leading this show and you haven't been. I need someone to lead and take hold of this show. And the fact that Bravo was scrambling and they gave like Cynthia a bigger role after Kenya left. They brought in Phaedra the last week. Like they were scrambling, clearly bringing in all these like not original season 16 cast members. It's making it clear that Porsha didn't do her job this year. I think they had too much faith in Porsha, or maybe it was faith in the Porsha-Kenya dynamic. And then once Kenya left, we were stuck with an airhead. I don't know. But it's very clear that Porsha cannot lead a show. She's a great piece of the ensemble cast, but she's not a critical cast member. And this intro is getting really long, so all I'm going to say is that Kenya deserved better. All right, let's get into the episode now. So the episode opens up with Brit and Angela going for a walk. Brit is one of those people, besides her being a deranged fan, she's one of those people that, I don't know. She seems like she cannot take accountability. And because she can't take accountability, she has to blame everyone else. So when people don't like her, it's, oh, they're just jealous. Oh, they're hating. Oh, I'm too cute. And it's like, you're not, let me stop. But, are there jealous girls? Yes. Are there haters? Yes. But if the majority of people you run into are haters and want to beat you up and, can't extend like a friendship to you, you might want to look inside and take a look and see, like, what are you radiating? What kind of energy do you have? What is your behavior towards others that is turning other people off? Not that you need to change your whole personality. If you love yourself and you're great, fine. But if you are, it doesn't seem like you're that secure, as we've seen how you act with Kenya. It seems like you want people to like you. So maybe, like, fix what's going on in here and figure out, like, why you're so unlikable. But I can't stand people who think it's main character energy, and it's, oh my God, everyone's looking at me, everyone's hating on me, and I'm this and I'm that. So anyway, so yeah, maybe just try to do some inner work and figure out why you're so unlikable. And because it seems that you care very much what people think of you, then maybe you need to address those things. That's all I'm saying. So Angela and Brit, they start just like kind of talking about like their families, and Angela shares that there was a time where she shared too much with her family about her relationship with Charles. And I think that, that impacts the way, if you're telling your mom like terrible things about your partner, that's going to impact the way that she's looking at your partner. And it's like, Angela, you're too old for that. Like, don't you know that, like, to keep your personal life personal and keep your sacred marriage sacred, and don't bring in all these people. Now, if it's a safety issue and you need to confide in a family member and get out, that's completely one thing. And there are some other circumstances, but the day-to-day drama and the in and outs of relationship is no one's business besides you and your partner and God, right? So I don't know, you're too old to like be dragging people in your relationship. But anyway, so she basically said that like her mom and Charles are beefing. They got in a fight and Charles still isn't over it with his petty behind. So I'm just like, all right. Brit shared that her sisters get mad when her husband Mike tries to help them out. And I don't know. I don't think she's given the full story of what's going on with her sisters. I think there's more there. And I think that this is just the beginning. We've seen that she's a liar. And so some of the things she's saying, could it be true? Sure. I just don't think it's the full story. All right. So then they start talking about the dynamics with the rest of the group. And Angela pretty much wants to make up with Shamea. She said that Shamea had mean energy, and then Brit right away was like, yeah, because Kenya had mean energy towards me and she was snooty. And then in a confessional, she says that it's easy to have a preconceived notion with someone like Kenya. What does that mean? What did Kenya do to you? I have not seen anything that this girl has done. Where was the snootiness? Because she didn't jump in your lap after meeting you after a second? What did she do? I mean, it's to me, it's a confidence issue, because if you're so confident and I've been lit since day one and I'm a wife, and what else does she brag about? I dated ballers and everything that she, hypes herself up as. If you're all of that, then another confident woman should not ruffle your feathers. If anything, that should inspire you. That should like make you just like excited and just want to like hype each other up. If another confident woman comes in and does absolutely nothing to you and you're all hot and bothered, that's a you problem. That's not a Kenya problem. It reminds me, I don't know if you guys watch Crystal Minkoff's and Cynthia Bailey's podcast, if you guys listen to it or watch it on YouTube. But Crystal mentioned that like she had preconceived notions of Kenya, and she was like, oh, it was just so difficult meeting her, and I didn't think she wanted to meet me. Like, everything she said in her experience of meeting Kenya was literally one-sided. It was literally like, I thought this, and she probably didn't like me, and she was so confident, and she seemed so strong, and and then finally when Kenya walked over to her and complimented her, she was like, oh, then I saw her as a human. And I'm like, what? I don't know. Sorry that you guys are like bothered by confident women, but that's not, like I said, that's not a Kenya problem. So you can't sit up here and say like, oh, she rubs people the wrong way. She makes others feel small. No, you feel small when you're around her. That's a you problem. So then there's a quick scene with Shamea and her sister. Shamea plays some music that she's been working on for her sister. It sounds good. And she basically tells the audience how she's done music forever. She's been in different groups. It just never really popped off for her. So, she has a new platform. Hopefully that helps to get some, get some more eyes on it, and best of luck to her. And if she isn't able to pop off, maybe she can call Dennis. So then the next scene, we see Porsha and she's having a business meeting. She basically is aware that soft life is over because y'all know she quit all her jobs after marrying Simon. And she said in her confessional she wanted to retire at 40, but pretty much this divorce woke her up. She got to go back to work. So she's expanding her chic collection, Pampered by Porsha, into some other avenues. She started talking about Go Naked, and we know Drew is an ambassador for Go Naked. And so when she brought that up, one of her business partners mentioned that Drew reached out to him and wanted to have a sit down with him, her, and Dennis, and they wanted to talk about music. And this is why Candace Diller did not want to work with you, Drew. You're always doing some weird, sneaky behind the back stuff. Not that you need to call Porsha for permission, but when you are working with someone who she employed and you met this person through her, it's all about courtesy. I'm about courtesy, about, hey, just to let you know, I reached out to him about this. And I don't know, it's a fine line. I know Drew is grown and can do what she wants, but I just think she moves so weird, and people like Candace have said that, and I see it. So, yeah. So she up here trying to finagle that, and and then basically Porsha said that Drew hasn't been upholding certain parts of her Go Naked contract, and so corporate's going to have to, work it out and have to handle Drew for her things. But corporate is Porsha. Porsha is HR. She's corporate. She's the admin. She's the legal representation. So they're just going to figure out what to do with Drew. I thought it was a good scene. Porsha made me laugh in that scene. All right. So then the next scene, we see Drew and Ralph playing with the kids. They're basically, trying to keep it cute in front of the kids. Drew says that they're good co-parents. Then we see Ralph in a basement confessional. He's not wearing a shirt. He's wearing like a suit with his chest all out. He's so strange, but I was hollering. I was like, what the actual heck? And they were talking about how they don't talk about the divorce to their kids, but it's public now. It's out there. I think one of the older kids asked about it. And so now it's just getting awkward, but it's supposedly a court order that they can't talk about the divorce, which is weird and dumb. So it's like, don't gaslight your children. Speaking of gaslighting, Drew calls Ralph a narcissist. Of course, he denies it. That's what narcissists do. And then he fake apologizes, because when he apologizes, he's like, see, that's why I'm not a narcissist. Narcissists can't apologize. And I'm like, yeah, spoken like a narcissist. So Ralph basically says he likes the arrangement. He enjoys being in the basement. And then there's a cut to him and him as if he's on the show Cribs, but it just says ATL Cribs, and it's him showing the different areas of the basement. But it's a nice basement though, so I wasn't mad about that. It was funny. But they basically just agreed, they just want the kids to be good. Let's not get nasty. I don't want to destroy you. I just want to make sure my kids are good, and let's keep this amicable. And that's how they ended it. So it was a pretty good scene. Next scene, we see Kenya Moore hair care. We get to go to the Kenya Moore hair care spa, and Kelli visits Kenya. Kelli is so supportive, and I enjoyed seeing two boss ladies just sitting down, talking, giving each other advice, lifting each other up. That is how you can tell a confident woman. That's a confident woman. Because had it been Porsha walking into Shamea's spa, we'll get to that later, but had it been Porsha walking into something Shamea did, it would have been hating, it would have been crickets. Or if it was Brit walking into Kenya's spa, it would have been, she didn't roll out the red carpet for me. She didn't want me to come here. So I enjoyed Kelli's, energy and her vibe in this scene. Kenya notices Kelli's bodyguard, and Kelli was like, yeah, it's because my ex threatened me in court. I have a restraining order against him. I'm basically the sole provider for my kids, so I need to make sure I'm around to raise them. Kelli shares that she and her man have been fighting over the businesses. He's basically trying to make sure that she doesn't have anything now that they're not together. Kelli says in a confessional, I'm not sure what the problem is between Kenya and Brit, but, my experience with Kenya has been so different. And that's fine. But she pretty much had the same energy when she was just on Watch What Happens Live after this episode aired. And I was like, that's too passive for me. That's too passive. I only saw a clip, so maybe she did stand up more for Kenya outside of the clip I saw. But the clip I saw was just like, it was just so loud in there. It was just so crazy. And I don't know Kenya to be like that. And I just, no. I would have been like, no, Brit was out of line. Kenya should have been protected better. I don't know what Brit was on, but I do not condone anything she said. Like, I would have just had a hard line, and Kelli was very like, oh my gosh, I just didn't know. And I'm like, So we'll see. I'll keep watching for now. So then Kelli asked Kenya what are her future plans for Kenya Moore Hair Care Spa, and asked if she wants to franchise and branch out. And Kenya would love to, but she's scared. She's, just terrified. She used Brooklyn's college fund to get this business up and running, and she's just unsure and scared to take that next step. And Kelli was just pouring into her and just letting her know, no, you'll get it back. Just believe in yourself. Have that faith. You will be, reaping your rewards. And like I said, I just love this scene. I just appreciate people who can vibrate higher, who can talk about business, who can pour into each other, and can have sisterhood rather than competition. So I love this scene. So then we have this scene with Brit and her sister. Her sister comes all types of late. Brit's better than me because I would have left. But anyway, her sister comes, and basically it seems like the problem is, once Brit got married, she wanted to include Mike in everything. And her sister were once very close. And when you're trying to kiki with someone or confide in someone or just, talk with someone you're close with, you bring in a random person, that automatically changes the conversation. It automatically changes the dynamic. And you're not going to be as close to that person with a third person there staring at you, trying to get in your business. So that seems like that's what happened. And, her sister was like, look, I'm not hating on you. I want you to be happy. I'm glad you're happy. I like Mike. It's nothing against Mike, but I want to have a relationship with you and not you and Mike. So I think that's a fair ask. I'm not saying, and I don't think the sister is saying, she's not saying ignore your husband, don't invite him, I don't want him around. But I think she's just saying I want more of this sister time. I want more of this one-on-one time. And it seems like, Miss, I'm married, call my husband. It seems like she doesn't know how to have an identity outside of her man and outside of being a wife, because you are a sister, you are a friend if you have any, and you have other roles, and it shouldn't just be tied up in Mike, especially because he's a weirdo. But anyway, it just seems like Brit's not a girl's girl. We've seen this all up and through this episode. And it's sad when women lose their identity in some stinky man. It's sad, but Brit's sad. So there's that. So let me just say this. Brit looked crazy in this scene. Some people were speculating if she was on drugs. I don't know, but she just had a really crazy look in her eye. I don't know if she was just annoyed that her sister was late, but she just looked off to me. Let me know below if you felt that. And then another weird thing is that Mike kept texting her in this scene, kept texting her, telling her to come home. And it's like, you know that your wife is out with her sister. And everyone knows like she loves family so much, supposedly. So why are you texting her to come home? That's weird. Brit, run. But something tells me y'all are like made for each other because y'all are both weirdos. At the end of the day, it seems like it ended on a good note. It seems like they want to try to get better. So we'll see. Moving on to the next scene, we see Drew at the studio with Dennis. And she says in a confessional that there wasn't any drama about her working with Dennis until now. Basically, she doesn't even understand what the issue is because them working together does not affect Porsha. Drew says to Dennis, I know you told Porsha everything and everything was cool. But then instead of like acknowledging it or like agreeing like, yeah, he says, he like kind of like pivots a little bit and he was like, well, when we started working together, Porsha was in Nigeria and she didn't care what I had going on. And I'm like, so did you tell her or not? Something tells me he half told Porsha, and because Porsha was in Nigeria living her soft life and eating fufu, as Dennis says, she was probably half paying attention. So I think, like I said, I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. And then in a confessional, Drew said, it's a closed door with Porsha. Basically, like, hey, from my end, I tried to reach out. She didn't respond. Ball's in her court. It is what it is. And I'm like, that's kind of fair. I think Drew should have tried harder to text her. She said she texted her all these times. And it's like, you either should have just called her or just put it in a text like, it's been hard to get a hold of you. I just want to let you know I'm working with Dennis. We're excited for our music. And I didn't want you to be blindsided. So the next scene, we see some of the ladies getting ready for their dinner. Angela is hosting a Black Excellence dinner at this place called The Vault. And it's in an area called Bankhead. And I mean, I guess it's just like not the greatest part of town. And like Kelli and Brit were on FaceTime, like talking about going like, oh my God, we're going to the hood. And I'm like, Brit, bye with your hood ass behavior. What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? And like, so they're just like, oh my gosh, I'm scared. And Kelly's like, I'm going to bring my security. And I'm like, all right. So then Shamea and Porsha FaceTime as they're getting ready. And basically Shamea is nervous about seeing Angela. Porsha tells her, don't worry about it. She obviously extended the invitation to you. So there's not that much bad blood. And then basically Shamea asked Porsha about Drew. And she said, I'm not trying to talk to her now at this dinner. We can talk another time. So that situation is just kind of like on pause. So the ladies get to the dinner. They're all wearing black, except for Kenya. She comes twirling in the wrong color, as Porsha says. And Brit is mad at the type of hug that Kenya gives her. This lady is a Looney Tune. Kenya just gave her a cute little light hug, a little light pat. The same thing that she did to other women. Some people she was like, oh, mwah, gave air kisses. Some people she gave little light hugs. Like when you're wearing a bunch of makeup, you're wearing a nice dress, you're about to hug someone who's wearing a bunch of makeup. Yeah, normally it's just very light, very like tap, because I'm not trying to get makeup on you. I don't want you to get makeup on my dress. That's normal. Kenya did not have, and we've seen Kenya over the years. We've seen when she has the energy or the shade or when she's picking on somebody. I have not seen that with Brit. I have not seen that. If I'm crazy, please let me know. But so she's mad at the type of hug she gets and she calls it out. And again, Kenya is being gracious. She was just like, oh no, like I have makeup on. Like she's been really cool. She has not cursed at this girl. She hasn't called her out her name. She never really gave her any crazy energy back. Each time she just kind of eats it, right? So Shamea comes in, she apologizes to Angela, gives her an olive branch, and some olive oil, and Angela accepts the apology and wants to move on. And I would have liked if Angela apologized to Shamea for her comments, calling her Flava Flav. I would have liked to see that, but something tells me that Shamea, being Porsha's BFF, she's probably not used to receiving apologies. So she was able to just kind of like move past it really fast. But I think she was owed an apology too. So then they start talking about Kelly's fundraiser, and Kelli points out how trifling Drew was, bringing an extra guest, and that guest didn't even contribute to the charity. They didn't buy anything. Drew is trying to say that she bought a blazer and shows the text message to Kelli of Drew conversing with like a sales rep. And Kelly's like, okay, I don't see a receipt. Like, there's no transaction on record. So, oh my God. Drew just lied just to lie. It's a shame. So then Kenya mentions her spot opening and she's inviting everyone to go. It's crazy because it's just like we've been hearing for months what goes down at this opening. And so I'm just like, damn, Kenya. As much as Brit did way too much, Kenya like sabotaged her own event. Like, why would you do, we'll see. We'll watch it for next week, but why would you do what everyone's saying that you did? Why would you do that at your own event? That's the only thing that's just like, why would you leave that stain on your business? But we will see. We'll keep watching at least for the next episode. So then Shamea shares her song to the ladies, and Porsha is a bona fide hater. Hater. You're a hater, Porsha, because I don't understand why she had to tell you 5 times that it was her voice. If she pulls out her phone and says, hey, ladies, I have a song, I don't care if it sounds like Barry White. You believe your friend and you say, that's amazing. Like, what do you mean? Oh, that doesn't sound like her. Are you sure? Like, Shamea, are my ears defied? Wait, what? So she's up here like, instead of, and then in the confessional, Porsha says, oh, I thought it was Drew because it sounded good. So are you saying Shamea doesn't sound good? Because every time I heard Shamea sing, it sounds better than you, Porsha. So maybe you should hush on that and support your friend. Yeah, Porsha is one of those people who you're her best friend until you get on her level or pass or surpass her. And then she has a problem, because she had no problem when she was the lapdog, when she was the friend of, but now that she is a toe-to-toe peach holder, and now she's the only one married to a wealthy Nigerian. She's living in her mansion and has her family all together. Yeah, that hate is just building and building and building in Porsha. And it's not cute. It's not a good look. You should support your friend. But we've seen how she has done little things throughout the years. We've seen in this season her arriving late to her birthday. Porsha was on time for everything else this season. Shamea's birthday, she was over 2 hours late. Her best friend. You're hating ass. Anyway, and then when the song was done, everyone's clapping and cheering, and Porsha's just sitting there. She didn't clap. She didn't do nothing. What? Let my best friend play a song. I'm doing a backflip. Like, I am riding for you so hard. If you and I have that bond, like, I'm going to do anything I can. Like, I don't know. Is she still on Dish Nation? I'm playing it on Dish Nation. I don't think Porsha's still on there anymore. But I'm doing what I can to get your stuff out. So then the ladies play a question game. I'm getting a little tired of these question games on Housewives. It's just really lazy producing. But here we are. So they start playing a question game. This game in particular, they actually had the women in the group write down an anonymous question, and they had to ask another woman in the group, and they had to answer it. So basically, they asked Shamea what she did for her man after getting that car. They asked, Angela what's a deep, dark secret about her, and Angela was like, I'm pretty open. There's really nothing crazy. They asked, like, oh, did you have a threesome with, did you and Charles ever have a threesome? She said no. And then Porsha tried to say, oh, yeah, I know about Charles, or, oh, I heard about him. Or she said something, like, basically alleging that, or, like, intimating that she has some tea on him. And Angela was like, no, like, say it. Like, what are you talking about? And she was like, no, I'll tell you later. I'll tell you later. Absolutely not. I would have been like, you can go. You're not going to sit up here at my dinner table at my event that I invited you to, and you want to sit up here and act like you know something about my husband and you want to keep secrets about my husband? Absolutely not. Say what you got to say. Be a woman. Tell me face to face, or you can go. But we're not about to know, I know something you don't know about your husband. Bitch, what? Does Porsha live on planet Earth? Because Angela's better than me. Scene would have been done. Girl, go home. Because that's not cute. Porsha hasn't given us anything. As Angela said, you haven't said anything about this divorce, but you worried about someone else's husband. Girl, hush. So then Kenya gets like 3 questions in a row, and they were probably all from Brit because Brit's a weirdo. So one question was like, what color panties do you wear, or are you wearing? She wasn't wearing any. Then it said like, why are you so worried about happily married women? And then it was like, can you speak to Brit kindly without an attitude? And Kenya was just like, oh yeah, I can speak to anyone kindly. Like, yeah, of course. And then Brit's like, no, it's about me. No, but can you talk to me without it? And she was like, yeah, I can talk to anyone. No, me. Like, hype for no reason, getting loud, getting all aggressive. And then Kenya immediately senses that Brit wants a moment. She was like, oh, okay, so you want a moment. Okay. And she was like, no, doing all that. And she was just like, peasants can't come for queens. And then Brit turns to the group and was like, I didn't send for her. Girl. Kenya was like, thank you for using my catchphrase. Brit, you look crazy. You look crazy. Such a fan. So then Kenya just tries to leave, and then Brit goes off. She's like, get the F out of here, B. Loud. She said that multiple times. Just like getting all overboard. And then she's like, I'm going to call my husband. I'm going to call my husband because he needs to pick me up. Like, just trying to act like she's somebody because she's married. Okay. And then, as like Kenya's just trying to make her way out, she's paying Brit dust. Like, Kenya's not getting in her face. Kenya's not saying anything under her breath. She's just like, all right, let me get my stuff. I'm heading out. Kenya was chill. She didn't escalate it at all. But Brit just kept getting like hotter and hotter and crazier and crazier. And then she's up here like, I still got my pistol. Don't play with me, B. I had to let that be know. I got whips, pistols, everything. Girl, absolutely not. Like, even her man who finally arrived was telling her she was doing too much. He was trying to de-mic her just so she can not sound like a fool on TV, but that was too late for that. And she was like, yeah, she kept poking me. She kept poking me. You are such a lying-ass victim. A lying-ass victim wannabe. That's what you are. Because Kenya didn't do anything to you. Kenya tells the girls that she heard Brit talking about her pistol and she wants Brit to go. And Kenya, I'm with you. So final thoughts. I mean, it's kind of just back at the beginning. Brit needs to go. Brit needs to go. I have no interest in seeing her play victim after she has poked at Kenya and wanted a problem with Kenya since day one. And then someone posted, if it was real, I'll give this was an alleged post from Brit that I think when the news came out, when Kenya was saying, she threatened me with a pistol and this is why I did what I did. Brit allegedly was like, I never said that. I never did that. I did not talk about violence. And it's like, yeah, you did multiple times. You're a liar if that was a real post. But anyway, she's unhinged. She's a liability. She's not good TV. Her voice is annoying. I don't want to see her on my screen. Bravo, you need to do better. You need to protect your talent. And where were all the disclaimers? Because y'all love, you love a disclaimer of Bravo doesn't condone violence. Do you condone threatening someone with a pistol? Just asking. I'm just wondering. Just asking. You should protect all your talent, but especially someone like Kenya who has done so much for your franchise, breathed new life, kind of ushered in a new era of Atlanta, and she deserved more and she deserved better. And I hope Kenya gets to give her side. I hope Bravo at some point apologizes for their like lack of action that they've done. But something needs to change, because the way that this went down was terrible. I wonder if the roles were reversed, would Kenya be granted that pass of threatening someone with a pistol? I don't think so. I don't think so. But let me know below. That was it. I'm not going to waste your time anymore. Thank you so much for rocking with me. I want to hear your thoughts below. Whose side are you on now that we saw kind of the first half of the controversy? And then we'll check back in after we see what Kenya does. Let me know your thoughts. I am really interested to hearing what you have to say. But I appreciate you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.